July is Client Appreciation Month at Sport Clips Haircuts. Get a double MVP for the price of an MVP, or cool it down and try the MVP on ice. It's our way of saying thanks for all you do. Hurry, ends July 31st. Sport Clips. It's good to be a guy.
The NL East leading Nationals go head-to-head with the Dodgers, who sit high atop the NL West.
Gone! A solo shot for Harper.
The pregame is Saturday at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPNRadio.com. This is the Best of Mike and Mike podcast on ESPNRadio.com. The Best of Mike and Mike.
I opened the show by mentioning this morning that sometimes I believe certain charities, including cancer charities, do themselves an inadvertent disservice because they throw huge numbers at you. This many thousands of people will die from the disease this year. This many thousands of people will be diagnosed in the next 10 minutes. And, of course, those are extraordinarily significant. That's a way of grasping the magnitude.
They want eye-opening things that will make you see that, realize that that's horrible, and donate.
But I think sometimes we have become so desensitized in the society we live in today by huge numbers. We're so fascinated by people's money. This guy's got this many billions of dollars. You know, they raised this, they did this many billions of this and this many millions of that. And then we hear, 30,000 people will die of this, and it just sounds like another big number. Cancer is not about thousands and thousands of people. It's about one person at a time. And it's about that person's family and that person's support group and all the people who love him or her. That's what cancer is about. And this year, for all of us at ESPN, it's about our friend Stewart. I never met Jim Valvano. I admired Jim Valvano greatly. I loved him as a coach. And then he was a terrific commentator. And when I was working locally in Chicago doing talk shows, he'd come on from time to time and talk about college basketball. And if you're old enough to remember Jimmy V, he had just a dynamic personality like no other.
Incredible.
But I didn't know Jimmy V. We knew Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
Stuart Scott was one of the first people I met when I came to ESPN in 1996. And he was a big star already. He was a big deal here. And he could not have been nicer to me. He was married at that time, and his wife Kim could not have been nicer to my wife Stacy. When we first came here, we're trying to figure out the community of ESPN. And, of course, Mike, you knew him even that time even better because you lived right near him.
Yeah, I lived near him, and a couple of years earlier than that on ESPN2 with Sports Night.
Yep.
I was still playing at the time, and then it just finished, and working with the likes of he and Susie Culver and Keith Olbermann on that show, which was so much fun to do. And that's where, obviously, I got to meet him. But as you mentioned, I lived by him as well, and remember his daughters. It's just little girls, and now they're just, grown into just beautiful women. And to just grow and have the friendship with Stewart. So you're right. With Jimmy V, while that speech stopped you in your tracks, and it's a very emotional speech, it certainly takes on a different situation if it's more personal. And certainly with Stuart Scott and you and I and so many here at ESPN, that's exactly what it is.
So a year ago tomorrow, July 16th of 2014, Stuart Scott went up on stage in Los Angeles at the ESPYs and made a speech that I think will live forever. His memory and his lasting impact, we hope, will live forever through the Stuart Scott Memorial Cancer Research Fund, which we'll tell you more about in a moment. But I think his words last year were so eloquent and so powerful and so beautiful that those words will live certainly as long as this day exists and as long as the V Foundation exists. So we'd like to share them for you again now. This was Stuart Scott at the ESPYs a year ago, in what may have been his final public moment and maybe his finest public moment. This was Stuart Scott last year.
Tomorrow all my boys are going to be like, "Oh, man, I saw you at the ESPYs with Peyton Manning, Money Mayweather, and KD. I'm going to be like, yeah, whatever. Jack Bauer saved the world, and he introduced me. 24 is my favorite TV show of all time, so Kiefer Sutherland, thank you very much. I am very honored. Every day I am reminded that our life's journey is really about the people who touch us. When I first heard that I was going to be honored with this reward, the very first thing that I did was I was speechless, briefly. I've presented this award before. I've watched in awe as Kay Yao and Eric LeGrand and all these other great people grace this stage. And although intellectually I get it, I'm a public figure. I have a public job. I'm battling cancer. Hopefully I'm inspiring. At my gut level, I really didn't think that I belonged with those great people. But I listened to what Jim Valvano said 21 years ago. The most poignant 7 words ever uttered in any speech anywhere. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. Those great people didn't. Coach Valvano didn't. So to be honored with this, I now have a responsibility to also not ever give up. I'm not special. I just listened to what the man said. I listened to all that he said, everything that he asked of us, and that's to build the V Foundation. And let me tell you, man, it works. I'm talking tangible benefits. You saw me in that clinical trial. Now, here's the thing about that. Coach Valvano's words 21 years ago, helping me and thousands of people like me right now, direct benefits. That's why all of this, why we're here tonight, that's why it's so important. I also realized something else recently. You heard me kind of allude to it in the piece. I said, I'm not losing. I'm still here. I'm fighting. I'm not losing. But I got to amend that. When you die, that does not mean that you lose to cancer. You beat cancer by how you live, why you live, and in the manner in which you live. So live, fight like hell. And when you get too tired to fight, then lay down and rest and let somebody else fight for you. That's also very, very important. I can't do this don't give up thing all by myself. I got thousands of people on Twitter and on the streets who encourage me. I got these amazingly wonderful people at ESPN. I got corporate executives, my bosses, this is true, who will text message me. And they'll say, hey, heard you had chemotherapy today. You want me to stop by on the way home from work and pick you up something to eat and bring it to you? Seriously? Who does that? Whose boss does that? My bosses do that. But even with all that, the fight is still much more difficult than I even realized. What you didn't see in the piece is what's gone on probably the last 10 days. I just got out of the hospital this past Friday. 7-day stay. Man, I crashed. I had liver complications. I had kidney failure. I had 4 surgeries in a span of 7 days. I had tubes and wires running in and out of every part of my body. And guys, when I say every part of my body, every part of my body. As of Sunday, I didn't even know if I'd make it here. I couldn't fight it. But doctors and nurses could. The people that I love, my friends and family, they could fight. My girlfriend, who slept on a very uncomfortable hospital cot by my side every night, she could fight. The people that I love did last week what they always do. They visited, they talked to me, they listened to me, they sat silent sometimes. They loved me. And that's another one of the components of the V Foundation. This whole fight, this journey thing is not a solo venture. This is something that requires support. I called my big sister Susan a few days ago. Why? I needed to cry. It was that simple. And I know that I can call her. I can call my other sister Cynthia, my brother Stephen, my mom and dad, and I can just cry. And those things are very important. I have one more necessity. It's really 2. 2 very vibrant, intelligent, beautiful young ladies. The best thing I have ever done, the best thing I will ever do, is be a dad to Taylor and Sydney. It's true. I can't ever give up because I can't leave my daughters. Yes, sometimes I embarrass them. Sometimes they think I'm a tyrant. That's a direct quote. There is an adjective that describes tyrant too, but I'm not going to go there. Taylor and Sydney, I love you guys more than I will ever be able to express. You two are my heartbeat. I am standing on this stage here tonight because of you. My oldest daughter, Taylor, I wanted her to be here, but college sophomore, summer school, second semester, starting this week. Baby girl, I love you, but you go do you. You go do that. My littlest angel is here, my 14-year-old. Sydney, come up here and give Dad a hug because I need one. I want to say thank you, ESPN. Thank you, ESPYs. Thank all of you. Have a great rest of your night and have a great rest of your life.
So Stuart Scott last year, it was July 16th of last year. Taylor and Sydney are up. I've mentioned this many times. Taylor and Sydney Scott, Stuart's daughters, he alluded to them right there at the end. Mm-hmm. I had to take my earpiece out because I have to come on and talk after that. But they are on Twitter. They're at Tay and Sid, and they just tweeted at us, thank you for playing Stuart Scott's speech. Our dad turns 50 on Sunday. And, you know, they'll be honored tonight. I want to tell you about the Stuart Scott Memorial Cancer Research Fund. The V Foundation's Stuart Scott Memorial Cancer Research Fund will assist some of the most vulnerable and disproportionately impacted communities battling the disease, catalyzing cutting-edge research designed to answer questions such as why some cancers are more aggressive and more fatal in African Americans. So that's one of the many differences we can make, and that will be one of the many lasting legacies that Stuart Scott can have.
So many great messages in that speech of fighting yourself, leaning on others that you love, and when you fought, you know, as much as you're going to be able to fight, you lay down and you let somebody else pick up the fight. I mean, so many really great moments in that, and obviously, you know, he talks about his daughters all the time, and just as I mentioned, just lovely young women they've grown into. They have the social media thing down, that's for sure.
They do. They're doing great. They're doing great.
They do a great job with it, and they keep it going in their father's memory to keep trying to help. You know, and that's, you know, we're never going to forget Stuart, but as Stuart laid down and let others pick up the fight, that's what we need to do. That's what we're all here for, is to continue the fight for someone. And for you out there, the fight is for your loved one. And if they had to lay down, then for somebody else. If they're still fighting, then to help them continue to fight. That's what this is about.
Yeah. Stuart was he was a man who made a big difference in a variety of different ways.
Yeah.
But the most significant one is one that I'm sure he never imagined possible 10 years ago. And you just heard the words. So on behalf of our friend Stuart and so many others, we ask you to help us today by visiting ESPYs.com, and you can donate and you can bid on these auctions, jam-packed, once-in-a-lifetime experiences. You can appear in a Vista Sports Center commercial and any number of others. You can also enter our sweepstakes for a donation of as little as $20 for a chance to win a trip to the Super Bowl and so many others. With that thought in mind, I want to bring our friend Dick Vitale into the conversation. Dickie V, we talked about it this morning, Dick. For Mike and for me, we never got to know Jimmy V personally. So for when we lost Stuart this year, this thing became even more personal for us. But you were there at the beginning. You were there to help carry Jim Valvano onto the stage that night 22 years ago when he began all of this. And so I'd love to begin our conversation this morning if you could just share with our audience some of your recollections of that night and of that experience and that time with Jimmy V, the man who started all of this.
Well, Greeny, I'll tell you one thing. I never in my wildest imagination ever anticipated that incredible speech that will go down as probably one of the most unbelievable speeches in all of television. It was just incredible, the legacy and what it's created financially and the impact it's made on so many lives, generation after generation, with the research of over $130 million been raised already in terms of being utilized in research. But I will never forget that night because, number one, there was no way in the world that I ever believed Jimmy would come up on that stage and be able to echo those sentiments that he did. In fact, if you recall, if you look at the speech, I'm standing to the right. I I just thought I was going to bring him up, present the trophy, he'll say thank you, and we'll carry him back down. But I stood there in total amazement watching him go on, but it was just unreal. And in fact, I remember, and it stands vividly in my mind, I remember that prior to him coming up to give this speech, I really thought, number one, we would get our producer and our people to bring the microphone down to him. You couldn't imagine, let me tell you this, how sick he was the night before. I mean, Mike Krzyzewski and his wife flew with him in. I spoke to him the night before, begging him, practically begging his wife Pam on the phone, telling him how much he had to come to the ESPY. He was, Dick, you think I'm worried about, I'll never forget his words, you think I'm worried about getting an award? He said, right now, he said, I'm in such pain. He said, take your worst toothache. Basically, the words, he said, take your worst toothache, run it through your body. That's what I feel. And we're crying on the phone because he's telling me, I'm worried about, I'm not going to see my daughter graduate. I'm not going to see my daughter walking down the aisle. And I'm thinking about my kids, and you're sitting there, and wow. I said, but Jimmy, I went to the rehearsal. The night before. You cannot believe you have to come to this event. You have to come. And it was just amazing to me watching him, because during the day he was throwing up. He was in it. And to get up there and deliver that speech, and then you know what really stood in my mind, guys? After he gave the speech, okay, he goes back home. When I go home, my phone is just flooded with calls from people, coaches, etc. Didn't know he, number one, was that sick, and number two, were just so touched by his speech. So I call his house. I mean, it's like less than, I'm just assuming here now, I don't know, he flew out maybe 7 in the morning, got home at 10 in the morning the next day. I probably got home around noontime. So he gave the speech about 9, 10 o'clock. I mean, it's not even 12 hours later, and I'm calling his house to speak to him, and Pam says, Dick, he can't come on the phone, Dick. He's so in his room, and he's crying, and he's carrying on. And the only phone call he took today, he's been flooded with calls, was the President of the United States called him, and he spoke to President Clinton. That's what I was told. So then I just kept saying, I got to talk to him. And he got on the phone. And that was my last conversation with him. I'll never forget it. Never. He said, Dick, I was trying to give him a speech. I was trying to say, Jimmy, you got to fight, man. Can't give up. He said, but Dick, it's over, man. It's over. He said, I can't. I couldn't even hear him. He was just like, the words were just, I mean, this was a guy 12 hours earlier was electrifying the nation. It was unbelievable. I sit there and I think about that, and I think, I never was really that close to Jimmy until he worked at ESPN. I knew him as I know many coaches in my travels with ESPN for all the years, but we never socialized really. But I got to know him so well. We were on the phone often. I'll tell you something else I will never forget about him. When all this came down, when I first found out about it, I'm sorry, I'm doing all the talking, guys. You could talk.
No, don't be silly. Dick, Mike and Dick Vitale. This is what this day is about, and this was how it began it all. And Dickie V, you have more than picked up the challenge and the baton and run with it for him. And I know that in the more recent years, your mission, your passion, your obsession has been with fighting pediatric cancer. And I'd love you just to share a thought on that, if you would.
I will, but I want to close with this one. Jimmy, when we're on the phone, and I will never forget, I'm saying basically that, how this disease is so vicious, and how he wanted his friends to raise money for him. He would now be going nuts. We just had my gala, and my gala was just a blockbuster. We raised $2.38 million in that night. We honored, you give Stewart's speech. Well, we had Stewart's speech. We had Stewart's children with us, his wife, and it was just his lady friend, and it was just a beautiful night. We paid a tribute. John Saunders did a great job interviewing Stewart's daughter, and it was just a great night. We paid a tribute to Lauryn Hill. Talk about courageous. We did a tribute to Lauryn. We had Devin Still with us, a tribute to his girl. It was an incredible night. Over 90 celebrities, and raised a lot of money. Next year, we're going to break the record. I'm telling you, next year, I'm hoping to get your producers to have you guys do the show maybe Friday the day before. But ready for this, on May 13th, we are going to be honoring Bo Ryan. He's going to be a Hall of Famer, Wisconsin, last year as a coach. We're going to honor a potential national championship coach again this year, Urban Meyer, and we are going to honor our own, a genuine superstar. The first time I ever worked with her, I came home, and I wrote this in my book. I came home and I told my wife, I said, hon, put this down. This lady will be a genuine superstar. Her name, Robin Roberts. So when Robin, Urban, and Bo, I want to go over $2.5 million. And if anybody would like to help us, because there's nothing worse than watching a mom and dad put a child to rest. This year, we paid tribute to Austin Schroeder, who's Austin. He was a kid with a smile on his face that was so special. I was with Austin at an event for the V Foundation. He was so excited. His cancer was in remission. The cancer came back, and Austin lost his life in April of this year. And we were with his mom and dad recently. I think of kids like Dylan Simmons, Johnny Tice. I think about Peyton Wright, who started me on this, Lacey Holsworth, Adrian Littlejohn, who I spoke at his funeral. There's nothing. I've given speeches all over. I'm going out to give one now for Pinnacle Foods at a big event. Well, let me tell you, there is no speech I ever gave in my life that brought me to tears like I did when they asked me to speak at Adrian's funeral, watching a mom and dad put their child to rest. That's why I beg all of you, on behalf of Stuart, on behalf of Lauren, on behalf of all these kids, make a donation if you can. This disease sucks. This disease is pathetic. And what it's doing to lives and ruining so many people tears my heart out. I get to know these kids. I get to know a lot about them. People don't know some of the kids I've mentioned, but I do. And I'm telling you, I know their moms and dads. There is nothing worse. I can't even imagine with my 5 grandkids. And I know you, Greeny and Mike, I know you guys are great family men, as well as being great stars in TV. Just think about spending your whole day watching your child from 7 in the morning to 11 o'clock at night doing chemo, radiation, battling. You think you're going to be talking about the American League winning? I don't think so. So please, people, if you want to help us, go to 350-0580-941. Make a donation for kids battling cancer. Only 4%. This is sickening, and our people should be absolutely embarrassed by this involved in cancer. Only 4% of every dollar raised in cancer research goes for kids. For kids. That is absurd, and that is a joke. We've raised so far $15.1 million, and it's not enough. Because it's enough, I wouldn't be talking about Austin, Adrian, I wouldn't be talking about Lacey and Peyton and all these beautiful kids. You know, as one lady said who lost a child, she told the coaches at her event one day, she said, let me tell you something. You guys lose a game, you think it's the end of the world. And it is to you, because you're a great coach and you care about winning. I lost my daughter. You're going to get another game to coach. I am never, ever going to get a chance to coach my little girl. Think about that in those words. I'm sorry getting so emotional about this, but I'm going to tell you something. It bothers me big time, Greeny and Mike, that not more is being done for kids.
Well, and no one's doing more than you are, Dickie V, and that's what this day is about. So thank you, and continue with your fight, and everyone continues with the battle today on this day, the V Foundation for Cancer Research, our 2015 ESPY Day, where we are taking your bids and your donations. We're now coming up next. Lauryn Hill got a lot of attention this year, and she raised a lot of awareness, and she inspired a lot of people. Her parents, Brent and Lisa, will join us right after this on Mike and Mike.
The best of Mike and Mike.
Guys, at Sport Clips Haircuts, we appreciate everything you do. So this month, we're giving you double the Sport Clips MVP experience for the price of a single. It's the Sport Clips Instant Replay. After your haircut, go into overtime on our legendary hot towel treatment. Enjoy a double header of our massaging shampoo and soothing scalp treatment. And beat the heat with our new MVP on ice. Our legendary hot towel becomes the refreshing chilled towel at no extra charge. Sport Clips, it's good to be a guy.
The best of Mike and Mike.
Mike and Mike.
Today is the 2015 ESPY Day, where we are helping as best we can raise as much money as we can for the V Foundation for Cancer Research. And in a few minutes, we'll go through all of the different items and experiences that you can bid on. And, of course, our sweepstakes this year, something brand new where for a donation of as little as $20, you might win a trip to the Super Bowl.
And you have time for all of this. We're not doing anything in only an hour's length, so we'll run through where we are with everything again. But first, I mean, I'm looking forward to talking to these two people.
I think that the entire country, those who pay attention closely to sports and even those who do not, were honored, were moved this year, and were inspired by the Battle of Lauryn Hill, making a layup for Lauryn. She was the young girl who wanted to be a college basketball player, was diagnosed with cancer, fought like crazy, got to go out there on the floor and play a little bit, and before she died earlier this year, motivated and inspired and moved millions and millions of people who had never met her. And we are honored right now to have joining us on the phone Brent and Lisa Hill, Lauryn Hill's parents. Mr. and Mrs. Hill, it is our privilege to speak to you this morning. How are you?
Morning. We're good.
Morning, guys.
Good morning. And Dick Vitale was just talking about the difficulty, what it must be like, and those of us who would have no idea, as fathers ourselves, to go through the experience that you've had. But I'd love for you to begin the conversation this morning by just telling us about Lauryn. Tell us, the world knows the courageous girl who fought that disease, but most of us don't know almost anything about the girl she was before that. Tell us about your daughter, Lauryn.
Lauryn was pretty quiet for the most part. If you knew her out in public, in school, or on the court, on the field, she was a little more quiet and timid until you get to know her. And she was pretty serious, whether she was in school and doing her homework, so she didn't have to do it when she got home, and keeping up with her studies and stuff. And at sports, practice was always serious, and I don't know that all of her teammates always took it serious. It used to frustrate her, so it was kind of funny, one of her quirky things. But if you got her away from school or sports where she was so serious, she does have a really funny, zany, playful side, and with some sarcasm and humor. And I think that in itself kind of helped us get through a lot of everything that we had to go through with her medically. We did kind of put some humor spin on it, so it was a little easier to get through it.
Well, only those who have gone through what you have gone through can understand the incredible loss that you had. During that time, either one of you, Brent or Lisa, at some point, did you just step back, and when did you realize the amount of people that she was inspiring and what she was doing for so many people?
Sorry, we just have to laugh at that one. Go ahead, Brent.
We kind of knew we were in trouble when the Channel 12 news article had come out, because it just exploded on social media. It was just a shock to us all. I mean, we thought maybe that it might be a little bit of a story locally in Cincinnati, just with, the people around town and that kind of stuff, but never did we ever think it would just take off like it did, and how she could touch that many people.
Brent, I'm sorry, Mrs. Hill. You described her as being a little bit shy and introverted, so it's interesting that she, I assume, was the one who made the decision to be as public with this as she was. What were those conversations like, and why did she decide to do that?
In the beginning, when we were going back and forth to radiation, Cincinnati Children's Hospital has a motto, change the outcome, and between a conversation home in the car about what that meant to the staff, because I also worked at Children's Hospital, and what that really meant. And her doctor had talked about how, pediatric cancer is underfunded, and nobody hardly knows about DIPG, and that's way underfunded, and they haven't made any improvements in three decades, 30 years, as far as treatments, and that this type of tumor needed a voice and a face. And it was just a passing discussion during a clinic visit when Lauryn was grilling her more about the disease and why why hasn't there been any improvement? So she was explaining all this, and I think it was just a combination between that conversation and, changing the outcome. And if you don't like something, then get up and help make the change kind of thing. I mean, we had those types of conversations, and then she had the opportunity to do some speaking and be the ambassador for the Cure Starts Now, which was like her first public type speaking. And that was back in late May, June, prior to the basketball season. So she had a little bit of interviewing and things that went on then. And we had just talked about whatever God had placed in front of her, that she should, seize those opportunities, because clearly there's a plan for her to do certain things. And we just took them one day at a time and face things head on. And this is where she got such a big platform and such awareness, and a lot of people just fell in love with her and her tenacity and her ambition to keep going and keep living in every moment. So I don't know. I think really when we laugh when you ask that type of question, like how many people, because we really don't know, and we can't even imagine, because we've gotten cards even from all over here in the United States, but also from abroad. So I have no idea how far it goes.
Again, we're talking to Brent and Lisa Hill, Lauren Hill's parents, and so many different avenues that went from her signing hundreds of college number 22 jerseys that were sent. My wife bought the Notre Dame one immediately. We made sure we got that one to lay up for Lauren. So if you could, that moment when she played in that game and scored on that layup, if you could just kind of take us to that moment. And just kind of express what was going through your mind at that point.
I guess I'm taking this one. It was so magical. I guess never in my wildest dreams would I figure that her first college game would be anything that extraordinary. But she didn't feel good early in the morning, and we really were worried that she may not make it out on the court. So we had to do some doctoring and get her to the point that she could go out and function. But she rounded and rallied and got herself out there and had the time of her life. It was priceless. There's probably few moments that happened from the game that were equally as priceless. And we were all so touched that she, got to put her feet on the court and make a shot and just hear the crowd. It was just amazing, and it was a dream come true for her. For me, emotionally, it was just an awestruck moment. It wasn't, I know, Brent teared up because it was a huge moment. My tears were probably more the last game, because I knew it was in the fourth game that she played. It would be the last time we saw her ever step foot on a court. That was way more emotional for me than to see her. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The
Yes.
difference between that. So that one was way harder for me.
Of course. Brent, we'll leave it with this thought. You're a dad. Mike and I are both dads. This is a day that we are doing the best we can to raise as much money as we can to battle this disease. I'd love to just know what message you have for our audience today. What would you like to share with them? What would you like them to know about the difference they can make today? And any message you would like to deliver?
I'm just any financial support, any word of mouth support that they can put out there against this disease. And they can donate to layupforlauren.org. She was absolutely an incredible child, and her whole mission was that it became helping others. She knew that she wasn't going to get helped by anything she did, or that her time was too short to allow this stuff to help her, and she wanted to make really sure that hopefully down the road that this would eventually basically save other people's families and children from going through things like this. So that was her real message that she wanted to get out there, that we need to step up to the plate and just fight this thing with everything we can get, and to not sit around and wait on somebody else to be affected before they jump into the game to start helping with this. And now's the time to do it, not when it happens to you.
Mr. and Mrs. Hill, we hope that you are heartened in some way and are brought some peace by the notion that literally millions of people loved your daughter and loved what she was able to, what she stood for and what she was able to accomplish.
And how much she's helped.
And how much she has helped and the difference she has made for so many people. We thank you for your time this morning. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, guys.
It's Brent and Lisa Hill, Lauren Hill's parents.
The best of Mike and Mike.
And now, for Geico's edition of Stuff Found in Your Car, we go inside your side door pocket.
Hello, yes, the crumpled receipt with gum in it. From your anniversary dinner, you sprang for expensive wine, your server was Beth. That dinner was a couple $100. Money you could get back if you switched to Geico and saved hundreds of dollars on your car insurance. I bet you'd save that receipt, frame it even. But really, where did I go wrong? Was it the quartage fee?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com today.
The best of Mike and Mike.
Mike and Mike.
Today, the 2015 ESPY Day auction benefiting the V Foundation for Cancer Research. We'll lighten the mood in just a moment here because we don't want this to be a somber day. This is a day where we want you to feel, as we do, motivated to fight back. Stuart Scott said, "Every day I fight." His book is called Every Day I Fight. We played his speech for you an hour ago. He would ask you to fight today. Not for him, but for you, for your family, for someone you love and care about. Your wife, Chris, Mike, just tweeted a few moments ago, "I lost both my brothers to cancer. I had to watch my parents bury half of their children. Give what you can to help the cause. Hashtag
Yeah,
Jimmy
listen,
V."
it was a very, very difficult time spread out over the years for her family when she and her parents and her sister Tracy, went through all of that. Very, very difficult. And this is what we're fighting for. I still go back to Stuart Scott when you fight, when you have this and you fight as long as you can, and then when you have to lay down, you lay down and somebody else picks up the cause and picks up the fight. And that's what we're trying to do for this day.
That's what we're here for today. So please go to ESPYs.com and you can peruse the list of magnificent once-in-a-lifetime items and experiences that you can bid on today, and we'll go through some of them for you in a moment. But again, today is not a day we want to be a somber day. The cause of this is a difficult and emotional one. But the motivation today is hopefully one that is inspirational for you. And one of the ways that we were hoping to inspire you to be a part of this with us today is to put a smile on your face. And for that, we bring in our friend, Mr. Caliendo. Frank Caliendo joins us today on Mike and Mike on this, the day of the 2015 ESPY Day auction benefiting the V Foundation for Cancer Research, to explain a little bit about some of the different auction items that you could bid on today at ESPYs.com. Good morning, Frank.
Hey, how are you guys?
Well, good. It's a different day for us, but a special one, and we're honored by all those who are helping us be a part of it. So one of the many magnificent items that people can bid on today is the opportunity to attend John Gruden's quarterback camp next year in Orlando, and with it, enjoy a Walt Disney World vacation. So what do you think folks can expect when they attend the quarterback camp with John Gruden?
Well, I'll tell you what, man, it's going to be tremendous atmosphere there. We're going to start out at 4 a.m. You wake up. You know what, man, forget that. I'm not sleeping in that day. We've got too much to get done. We're going to begin at 3 o'clock a.m. I don't know what I was thinking. We'll memorize the 2015 Buffalo Bills playbook. Listen to some Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band. Do some calisthenics. Listen to some Aerosmith. Maybe some Metallica. Maybe a song or two of that. Tell you what, man, enter Sandman, man. Run a couple miles, do that, get that out of the way. Then at about 3:15 a.m., we'll really start working hard, using our time wisely and efficiently, and getting a tremendous effort out of ourselves that we know we can live with. For the rest of the day, we're just going to make up play names, man. Karaoke, 4Y Angioplasty, Bear Claw 3, Z Cupertino, and how about Honeycomb 2Y Rigatoni, man? I'll tell you what, that's going to be as good as any Disney trip in your lifetime, man. I can't wait for this.
Oh, my gosh.
The bidding on that, by the way, closes at 3:30 this afternoon.
At 3:30. Then we have another one. The bidding closes at 2:45, so a little bit before that, 2:45 this afternoon. A winner and one guest is going to get to go to a Cavaliers game in the suite at Quicken Loans Arena and be the guest of one Stephen A. Smith. How do you think that may turn out?
Well, what we'll do is I'll begin our day with the same fashion that I'm traditionally accustomed to. We'll spend the first 30 minutes or so of that particular morning day part studying the dictionary, thesaurus, and my word of the day calendar. I already know what the word's going to be. It's poison, meaning abundance or plentiful. With that out of the way, we'll begin to focus on the task at hand, attending a Cleveland Cavaliers regular season matchup as they're on the way to the unprecedented first NBA championship, which will truly be an honor. Not just to you or me, but the entire population of Earth and maybe beyond. And much of the credit that falls on the feet of my dear friend, LeBron James. And when I say dear friend, I mean that last year he granted me a press credential that allowed me to watch his games in amazing proximity from a janitor station deep inside Quicken Loans Arena. Upon arriving at the Cavaliers facility, LeBron James will rip our tickets, show us to our seats, and provide us with scrumptious and refreshing concessions. While we wait for LeBron James to monopolize our eye sockets with a lesson in superiority, as with any superstar of his magnitude, there's a laundry list of items we need to accommodate, including doing his actual laundry. Warm and cold, extra rinse, and then wrinkle prevent dry is always tremendous encore of cleanly lusciousness. After that, just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show, my friend.
These are real items again, folks. You can attend a Cavaliers game with Stephen A. You can bid on these at ESPYs.com. And then I have a feeling this is going to be my personal favorite. There is an NFL countdown package that closes this evening at 5 Eastern. A winner and a guest will come to Bristol, spend the day in what we call the War Room with the NFL countdown crew. Frank, how might that go?
Well, with what I like to do when I get to the show is I usually get there a few minutes before it begins and sometimes a few minutes after. But I have a sandwich. I guess I could share the sandwich with whoever bids, and then I'm not really sure what I do. Maybe go through some alliteration exercises, rubber baby buggy bumpers. I think there's a golf outing with Jaws. Maybe you should just bid on that. Is that?
I have to say, during the home run derby, I just kept thinking, and everybody was tweeting me, and I tweeted something about it with Todd. It was. I just kept picturing Todd.
Going.
Oh, my God.
Mike and Mike, Frank Caliendo, there is a Golf with Chris Berman package that closes at 1 this afternoon. There's the NFL Countdown package that closes at 5. And did you mention, is there something with Jaws?
I don't know. Somebody had said something about that. Ray had said something.
Yes, no. I just meant to throw you into some Jaws. There's a golf.
I should have known what was going on there. The segue for the ages. I watched 192 hours of videotape of Mike Greenberg segues, and that's why I truly believe that I should have been able to come up with that on a dime.
There's a Golf with Ron Jaworski and Merrill Hodge package. You can vote on all of these.
I may bid on that myself.
Yeah. How entertaining would that be?
Could you imagine the anger? I'm going to tell you what. How great is this?
Oh, my God.
Frank Caliendo, listen, on a day where there's any number of emotions that we're sharing here, from talking to Lauryn Hill's parents and everything else through and motivating people with a little bit of a smile on their face, you have certainly helped with that. So we appreciate your contribution to this very much, and continued success, my friend, and we'll see you real soon.
Absolutely. Good luck. Best of luck to everyone. Thanks, guys.
He's the best.
Thanks,
Frank Caliendo. You can go to frankonstage.com and see all of his tour dates. He's coming here. He's going to be in our backyard in Ridgefield, Connecticut soon. He's going to be in New Hampshire. He's just magnificent, and that was great. His Chris Berman impression,
fantastic.
I don't know why. It makes me laugh harder than anything else does.
He had so many characters here to do, and he's done them so well. And again, these are all go ESPYs.com. Go there. You will go to John Gruden's football camp, attend the Cavs game with Stephen A. Smith, NFL Countdown. You're going to hang out in the War Room with all the guys from Countdown. You can golf with Chris Berman. So check out all of these things. They have different time slots at the end, all end this afternoon at different points from 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock. So while Frank makes us laugh talking about it, these are all great things that you're going to be able to attend.
Yes, and there are also, and we know, look, for those of you who are fortunate enough to be in a position to bid on these big-ticket items, wonderful, and that makes a huge difference, and we thank you endlessly. But there are 2 other ways you can help us today that are much less expensive. In fact, one of them costs you nothing. We have a hashtag Jimmy V, just hashtag Jimmy V, the number 2 trending topic in America today. Now, we're not going to beat out Prime Day, I don't think, because Amazon is discounting stuff left and right. But you know what? At Amazon, you're not going to be able to get to be in a This Is Sports Center commercial, and you're not going to get a lot of the other experiences that you can get if you go bid with us today. But one way or another, we figured that there are millions of people who will see that hashtag Jimmy V, who don't know who Mike and Mike are, who don't know what the V Foundation is, and don't know what we're trying to do today, but maybe they'll be moved to help us today if they click on it. So please use the hashtag. Go to Twitter. If you are on Twitter, use the hashtag Jimmy V and tweet any message you want. Tweet a message about who it is that you're donating for, who it is you're supporting, why it is you want to join this fight, why this battle against cancer is important to you, and just use the hashtag Jimmy V. Right now we have it again, the number 2 trending topic in America. We'd like to keep it there throughout the show. The other thing is, for a donation of as little as $20, you will be entered into our sweepstakes. And that's going to run for several more days. It doesn't close until the 19th. And for that donation of as little as $20, you'll be entered to win one of these experiences: a trip for 2 to the Super Bowl, a trip for 2 to the Pro Bowl in Hawaii, a trip for 2 to the College Football Playoff National Championship, a trip for 2 to the College Game Day game of your choice, a trip for 2 to the Monday Night Football game of your choice. These are things you will not be able to get anywhere else. And again, for a donation of only $20, you can be a part of it.
That's what makes us the $20 donations, the $10, the $5. But with that $20, at least $20, you can have a chance to win one of these great trips and bid on these other great trips, whether it's in memory of someone, just like my wife Chris tweeted a bit ago, losing 2 brothers, Kenny and Paul, two great guys, and that her parents, had to unfortunately bury. I mean, it's looking back. It's for those you may have lost, or it's going forward to trying to stop those from losing others as well. What are you fighting for? But that's what today is. We don't want to be sad today. We want to be aggressive today. We want to fight today. We want to battle today. We want to win this round today using our sports analogies. We want the salary cap to go up today so there's more money for research, and we'll do anything we can to help that along.
And if you can donate $5 to help us today, that will be endlessly appreciated. And you can do that 365 days a year by calling 1-800-4-JIMMY-V. All that Twitter, by the way, through the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed. Celebrate birthdays, anniversaries, or even just because. Visit 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN for special deals on flowers and gifts starting at $29.99. And let's talk about the miracles. Okay, let's not just listen. Today is a day that we remember Stewart. Today is a day that we remembered with her parents. We remember Lauryn Hill. And we remember so many others that we have lost. But today is also a day to celebrate the miracles. Why are we here? Because it's making a difference. Because the $130 million that the V Foundation has donated to cancer research, and by the way, they are fully vested, so every penny that you donate or bid today and every day goes directly to fighting cancer, 100 cents on the dollar. They're accomplishing miracles. And we both know personally people who have battled cancer and won. Mm-hmm. You and I are old enough to remember a time, Mike, in the 1970s, cancer was a death sentence.
You said you had cancer, and that was it. You
started making your arrangements.
That's exactly right.
That isn't the case anymore. Blessedly, it isn't the case. I've mentioned it many times. My mother-in-law, you know her. You know Grandma B. She's in the Grandmother's Hall of Fame. She's a colon cancer survivor. Years and years, decades, before I knew her. I've been married 18 years, and this happened before I met Stace. So these are the miracles that are being accomplished every single day. People are alive because of the money that we are raising today.
And that's the fight. We want to continue that. We haven't won this battle yet. In some ways we're winning, and in other ways we're still a long ways from winning. That's why we keep doing this. We don't want to do it anymore, but we keep doing it for great stories like one we have right now.
Exactly right. Let's have another success story for this, a survivor story. You know him as one of the absolute best players in the NFL, the best tight ends in the National Football League. Our friend Greg Olsen joins us here on Mike and Mike to talk a little bit about his mother and her battle and how she's doing. Greg, good morning, and thanks for taking some time for this today.
Of course, guys. Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Well, it's our privilege today to be able to help you share this story. Tell us about what's going on with your mom.
Yeah, like you guys mentioned, fortunately we happen to be on the happy outcome and the positive outcome. Never forget, May 29th of 2001, it was actually my parents' wedding anniversary, and Mom had gone to the doctor for a biopsy, a week or so earlier. The doctors didn't think anything, was too alarming. They just thought it'd be worth getting it checked, and
never forget her and my father were sitting around with my two brothers and I, and they were getting ready to go out for dinner on their anniversary, and the doctor's office called, and I'll never forget, my mom was on the phone, and she couldn't really say anything. She didn't have a response. She just handed the phone to my dad, and she started to cry, and my dad then finished the conversation with the doctor. And, in 2001, I was going into my junior year in high school. It was hard to kind of wrap your head around it. It was, it was our first dose of reality as a family, and to see our mother who was really the backbone and really just held our entire family together. She did everything. And to see her go through that, to see her at our football games on Friday nights in high school with her wig on, and, some nights she'd be just 24 hours post chemo and she'd be under the bleachers sick, but she'd never missed a game, and she was always in the stands watching us. But as a family, to see her go through that was hard, and it's something that happened as a young kid, but it's still something that sticks with me to this day.
So then going forward, her battles and everything she went through, tell us about, the day when you got some good news.
I'll never forget, when about a year to 18 months from that day on May 29th, 2001, when she got the call that her latest biopsies and everything showed that her cancer was in remission, and that the surgeries and the chemo and the subsequent radiation was a success. And to this day, we hold our breath when she goes for her annual checkup. And we're one of those fortunate families due to the advancements of the medical care, like you guys touched on. Here we are, 14 years later, and we still have our mother. We still have the backbone of our family, and we're very thankful for that. And the reason we have that is because the people who came before us and prior to 2001 that were able to make these advancements and give this money and do all those things necessary to give people a fighting chance. That that's what we're trying to do for people who come later.
So what in kind of a total way would be your message to those that were listening and watching today as we go forward this, and people giving their stories and talking about loved ones lost or loved ones that have survived this, and going forward to maybe those that haven't been touched as much by this? What's a message to them?
I think the biggest message would be that it's not necessarily just your money that you're giving. You're not just giving your money. You're not just sacrificing it on what you're able to do from a financial situation. You're giving people their family members. You're giving people more experiences with their mothers, with their sisters, their daughters. Those are memories that you can't put a price tag on. Those are sacrifices that are worth it 10 times over. And for all the people that came before that made that difference for my mother, that's the difference that we also try to make on the people coming forward. Because, as we all know, life is precious, and to have those moments it's hard to put a value on. And I know that every day we're thankful that we still have my mom, and that she was one of the fortunate ones that's been able to overcome it. And the more that the little sacrifice from everyone can guarantee that more and more people have their mothers, and more people have their sisters and daughters, and can share those memories and moments moving forward.
It's well said, Greg. We very much appreciate your perspective this morning, and we're so thrilled that all is well there. Continued success, and we'll catch up with you down the road talking some football. But this is a bigger and better day than that. And we very much appreciate you being a part of it.
Thanks, Greg.
Of course, guys. Thanks for having me on. Take care.
Greg Olsen of the Carolina Panthers. I'm thinking about stories like that. I'm thinking about a wedding I just went to a month ago yesterday. My very good friend Kevin Brush got married. And his mom, Sue Brush, who was my wife Stacy's mentor professionally for many years, a decade ago, she was diagnosed with breast cancer, right? She was diagnosed. I remember she called Stacy, and Stacy was really helpful to her during that initial battle. And that's scary stuff.
Yeah.
10 years later, I watched her walk down the aisle at her son's wedding. 10 years later, she walked down the aisle and watched her son get married. That's what this stuff is for, right? So when you and I were kids, 10 years later, those people didn't get to see their sons get married. Now they do. And so who knows where we'll be 10 years from now. That's my point. We're going to get to a point here where this thing, we're going to get our arms around this thing, and in a way that today seems impossible. And that's what we're asking for your help with. So, Mike, I want you to go through a few of the other Mike and Mike related packages. We have the Spend the Day with Mike and Mike in Bristol package that will close right before the end of the show today. So basically an hour and a half from now. at ESPYs.com. You get to come here and spend the day with us. You'll watch us do the show. You'll hang out. We'll take you to lunch afterwards, take you on a tour of ESPN. You get a shopping spree in the store downstairs. And more than anything else, we'll just make sure that it's a day that it is worth your while. That will be a special day for you. And there are a couple of other packages that involve us as well.
We wanted to bring you on the road as well. I mean, we were just in Cincinnati for the All-Star game, and what a fantastic trip that was with people coming to the show. So we have a couple of more. Again, it's on ESPYs.com. You can check these out, but I just want to get them out there now because this one ends in less than 2 hours at 10 o'clock and then another one at 11. The one that ends at 10 Eastern is the Mike and Mike Live show when we go to Ohio State. We're going there November 20th. So you get a weekend built around the NCAA champs, winner to guest, to have priority seating and a meet and greet at our broadcast. Tailgate party at the 97.1, the Fan VIP tailgate tent. Tickets to the game, Michigan State's visiting that weekend. Winner gets a full-size Ohio State football helmet signed by Urban Meyer, and travel and everything will be included if we get the bidding over $15,000. So, listen, I know you Ohio State fans. You people are nuts, and I mean that in a good way. So now you get a chance at our show there and to go to the game, get that helmet signed by Urban Meyer, and be part of that experience with us. So, again, bid on that. If once it gets over $15,000, all travel will be included. I would think that would be a no-brainer for the crazy fans there.
Let me tell you, Columbus is going to be off the hook.
Nuts.
Every time I have been to Columbus to do a book signing, it is the biggest crowd that I ever see. There will be thousands of people there on a college weekend of a big game like that for a really good team as they are. That is going to be an atmosphere that will be really, really fun.
And talk about another great atmosphere on the pro level. How about Lambeau Field? How about Green Bay? I mean, we're doing a broadcast there as well. September 28th, winner guest experience a couple of Wisconsin's best sports landmarks. Greeny, you could talk to this. Play a round of golf with a former Packer at Whistling Straits.
Let me stop you right there.
Yes.
All right. Whistling Straits, they're playing the PGA Championship there this year. They're playing a Ryder Cup there. So they play major championships. I've been there. Whistling Straits, there's two courses, the Straits course and the Irish course. The Straits course is a top 15 golf course in the United States. It's a top 2 or 3 public course in the United States. It is sensational. If you are a golfer, Whistling Straits is an absolute, it's a bucket list golf course.
Obviously, priority seating to our show, tailgate experience at the beautiful Tundra Trio adjacent to Lambeau. Behind the scenes, remember this is for Monday Night Football. Behind the scenes tour of the ESPN Monday Night Football compound before the game. Includes 2 nights hotel accommodations, tickets to the game as well. So you're going to 2 of them from a college standpoint at Ohio State, the craziness down there in Columbus, and then Lambeau Field. So we want you to travel to our shows as well. The Lambeau Field experience closes at 11 Eastern. The Ohio State experience closes at 10 Eastern. Again, ESPYs.com is where you can find those deals and so many more experiences in there. But these are the ones that are associated with our show that close more this morning than the ones that go on a little later.
That's right. And again, I want to continue to emphasize this because, look, we need these big donations, and that helps enormously. But it doesn't help any more than you can help us if you can enter for our sweepstakes for $20. If what you can do, if what you can bid here, if you enter that sweepstakes for $20, you will have a chance to win an equally sensational prize. We got Super Bowl trips, Pro Bowl trips, college football game day trips, Monday Night Football trips, college football national championship trips, all available for a $20 donation, and that is at a different website. So I want to keep emphasizing that. That's at omaze.com/ESPYs. OMAZE.com/ESPYs. And again, and one last thought, we do appreciate you helping us keep this thing trending because I think that people will be exposed to it who don't know. If you're on Twitter, please go tweet something and use the hashtag JimmyV. Any message you would like.
We're not doing this and doing the trending thing for our benefit.
No.
Understand that. It's just, look at Mike and Mike are trying to get something trending. This is for those who don't know anything about Mike and Mike, who check what's trending every day and will click on hashtag JimmyV and see what it's about. And we'll get people who don't know anything about this show, maybe they'll donate some money to this, and then that's a win. That's what we're looking for here. That's why we want this trend.
By no means do you need to tweet this at us. Tweet anything you want. Tweet the hashtag JimmyV and then any message you want about who you're fighting for, about what matters to you. If you want to send a message to Stuart and his family, I can tell you right now, Taylor and Sydney are retweeting like crazy this morning. They're up, they're listening, they're involved. It's going to be a special day and a special night for them.
The best of Mike and Mike.
The head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, whose battle with cancer inspired so many. His speech in the locker room to his players was one that I think everyone in America saw and was moved by, and he is now back and healthy and fighting again and working again, and a great example of the difference that all of this money and all of this research is making, and that is head coach Chuck Pagano of the Indianapolis Colts, who joins us on Mike and Mike. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me.
Well, we thank you very much for taking some time for this today, and I'd love you to explain that part of it. When you were first diagnosed with cancer and they start talking to you about all of the different treatment options and all the things that are available to you, and your own recognition that 20 years ago this stuff may not have been available to you, how different things may have been, that's something that you've experienced firsthand. I thought it would be good if you could share some of those thoughts with our audience.
No, it's amazing, Mike. It's 20, 30 years ago, the form of leukemia that I was diagnosed with, APL, it was about a 50%, survival rate. And because of, days like today and the money that was raised for research and the scientists and the doctors and everybody could do their job, when I was diagnosed, two guys got together and kind of stumbled upon, the concoction. I call it the cocktail, that they used on me, the chemo, and then, this drug called Atra, and they got together and the combination of the two, the survival rate went from 50%, 20, 30 years ago to, low 90s. So wow. Very, very fortunate, very, very lucky. And, it's one of those things where, when you hear the news, you've got cancer, you sit there and you say, okay, why me? And then you say, okay, doc, give me a game plan. What do I got to do? What's the treatment going to be like? How long are we going to be in the hospital? All those kind of things start racing through your head, and again, you want to sit there and say, why me? But thank God for, the generous people out there that are making the donations that they're making, so that the doctors and researchers can do their work, and they've made such great strides, to cure cancer.
I guess, Coach, you're one of the best to send this message to everybody out there of why this is so important, because you're benefiting from people you don't even know. Whether it's the doctors, there's so many people that have donated $1, $5, $60,000. You benefited from that. So I guess it's best to hear a message from you, someone who benefited and was able to survive from this, to every people out there that you don't know the people you're helping, but you're helping.
No doubt about it. And, I'm one of the lucky ones, and I'm very, very fortunate. Cancer taught me to be, thankful for today. And I was lucky enough to see another sunrise this morning, and it's so very, very important that I have a platform now, and obviously what my number one job is, but my second job and the most important one is to help raise money for cancer research, and we've been able to with the Chuck Strong Gala that we have raised almost $2.5 million for the IU Simon Cancer Center. And again, without donations and without people giving their time and giving their money, most of these doctors and the researchers, I'm sure the two that came up, with the cure for APL and got that survival rate up to what it is today, most of those guys sit and grind and don't even see the fruits of their labor. But they're so driven and so passionate about what they do. And the only way they can do that is by, people giving back and donating.
It's a wonderful story, and it's a perfect example of exactly the message that we'd like to convey today. Decades ago, half the people diagnosed with that diagnosis, with what you had, would be gone, and now 90% of them survive. Incredible. It's exactly what the V Foundation is trying to do. And Chuck, you lived to try and win a Super Bowl and dance at your daughter's wedding, as you said in the locker room that day in a speech that I think all of us who saw it will never forget. And we're thrilled for you, and we thank you very much for taking the time for us today.
Thank you, guys. You guys are doing an unbelievable job, and have a great day, and all the best.
Thanks, Coach. We'll talk football down the road.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, today's not the day for that. Not the day.
Thank you, Coach.
There'll be plenty of football to talk with Chuck Pagano when the time is right, but that's not what today is about. Boy, I did not know that. And that is exactly what it is. And I think very quickly it's important to point out, people who don't know exactly what is the Jimmy V Foundation. The V Foundation, they collect money. They have a team, their board and others, doctors, advisors, who pinpoint the right places to invest that money, to donate that money directly to the scientists, the doctors, the geniuses who are doing exactly that, coming up with these new drugs, exactly what Chuck Pagano was talking about, that change things like that take a diagnosis and say your survival rate is 50% and makes it 90%. That's what they do. And $130 million and counting later, that's what we do. And they're fully vested, so 100 cents on every dollar you donate goes towards fighting cancer.
And even added this year, it's about money and raising more of it. If we get to $3 million by October 15th of this year, there is an anonymous donor out there who will match that. So $3 million or up, whatever it is, an anonymous donor is going to match that. So we could have at least $6 million through this. And think of what good that's going to do for the geniuses, the doctors, the researchers that are helping something go from 50% survival to 90% survival. It's incredible.
This has been the Best of Mike and Mike on ESPN Radio Pod Center. To hear more from Mike and Mike, log on to ESPNRadio.com and become an ESPN Radio Insider.
The Best of Mike and Mike.
The Boston Red Sox begin the second half with a road trip to the AL West, where they'll face Mike Trout and the LA Angels.
Dives in, and he made the catch!
First pitch is Sunday at 8 Eastern on ESPN and on ESPN Radio.